Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Program.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 464 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined, as ever, by former heavyweight world title challenger, Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers, of course. Eddie, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great, my man. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. We're going to dive straight into the review part of the show. Again, not too much to go over, but as always, we're going to start here at the review part, and I'm coming to you straight away, Eddie, because we're going to the Suamlam Night Bazaar in Bangkok, Thailand. Over here, we saw Wisaksor Wangek, a.k.a. Sarisiket Sorung Vasai, a.k.a.
The Rat Eater.
The Rat Eater back with another win. A unanimous decision over 6 rounds at bantamweight there. He's now 57-6 with a draw. He was able to beat Watachai Urachai, who's now 1-2 as a pro. A terrible mismatch, and I'm quite shocked that it actually went 6 rounds. A unanimous decision for Wangek, like I say. Moving now to the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California, USA. Over here, this one was live on DAZN, a Matchroom boxing show. I've got to be honest, I was quite useless over the weekend. I didn't actually see much at all here. Chev Clark with a majority decision win. A close fight, an unexpected close fight. He's now 10-0. A cruiserweight 10-rounder there, like I say, majority decision. Efetabor Apochi in the other corner, now 12-3. Some people felt he may have just nicked it. He certainly finished the fight the stronger of the two. Also on that card as well, we saw Adelaida Ruiz, now 16-1 with a draw. She lost her O. She also lost her WBC interim super flyweight world title over 10-2s. A split decision win for Ginny Fuchs. Again, I'm not entirely sure if I'm saying that surname correct, but she's now 4-0. That is correct. In the main event, we saw Diego Pacheco move to 22-0, a KO for him in the 6th round of 12. He stepped in with Maciel Solecki, now 32-3. That one for the USA WBC super middleweight title, and also the WBO International super middleweight title. A good win, I suppose, really, for Diego Pacheco there. I think they're moving him quite carefully, but not too carefully to the point where it's boring watching him fight. Like they're throwing him in with people that he's going to absolutely walk through. I think they've been throwing him in with decent opposition. I think he learned a lot probably in that Marcelo Caceres' fight. And, this was another kind of step in that direction. He does become the first man to stop Solecki, so you do have to give him the credit there. Obviously, Solecki had lost on the road to Demetrius Andrade and Danny Jacobs. So to put your name amongst those two, just 23 or 22 fights in, that's a good thing there. It's a statement made there for Diego Pacheco, even though obviously Solecki's probably not what he once was. Moving now to this one, it went down on Tuesday. Again, I don't know if you saw anything from last week, Eddie, if you did jump in, but this one went down in Tokyo at the Ariake Arena. Over here, we saw Jin Sasaki with another TKO win. He's now 18-1 with a draw. A TKO in the 7th against Camille Balla, who's now 15-2 with a draw. That one for the Oriental and Pacific Boxing Federation welterweight title, and also the WBO Asia Pacific welterweight titles. That was a mouthful. Also on the card, we saw the old man Ishmael Barroso, now 25-5 with 2 draws. He was TKO'd in the 9th round against Andy Hiraoka, who's now 24-0. A good win there for Hiraoka. Barroso had his moments. Like, I felt like he landed a couple of decent shots on Hirooka. Hirooka definitely respected the power, but I think when he started to put his punches together and start to up the pressure, Barroso was unable to really match him, pace for pace. And like I say, he was able to get that TKO in the 9th round. So a good win there for Hirooka, like I say. Also on the card, we saw Yoshiki Takai move to 10-0, a unanimous decision for him over 12 rounds for the WBO Bantamweight World title, a successful defense against former champion Daigo Higa, now 21-3 with a draw. Very, very close fight, this one, by the way. Really good fight as well. Daigo Higa, like I say, I've said it so many times, he can really bang, and we saw that. He landed the left hook repeatedly and seemed to, seemed to buzz Takai. Takai was taking the shots quite well. And Takai, he did seem to kind of, fade towards the back end of the fight, which I don't think was too surprising. We saw the same kind of stuff in the Maloney fight. Sometimes Takai's style, for me, is a little bit too negative, a little bit kind of frustrating to watch him sometimes, just the way that he doesn't engage sometimes and likes to go for a bit of a walk. I know it's all part of the game, and obviously he doesn't get hit too often because he likes to do that. He's got great footwork and stuff, but it is very frustrating sometimes when you're seeing, a guy that is obviously trying to close the distance on him and they're failing to cut the ring off properly, and you're just seeing Takai move around rather than throw punches. It's all part of the science of boxing, but for me sometimes, especially with the little men, it's not so easy to watch. But a good win for Takai. It was a step up for him, like I say again. And Daigo Higa managed to score a knockdown. I think it was in maybe round 10 or 11, something like that. And to be honest with you, a lot of people felt that Higa nicked it. But like I say, they gave it to Takai, unanimous decision over 12. And then moving up to the main event, Naoya Inoue now 28-0, a TKO for him in the 7th against TJ Doheny, former champion, now 26-5. It was for the IBF, WBC and WBO Super Bantamweight World titles. I'm still not entirely sure what happened to Inoue's WBA belt. He becomes the first man to stop TJ Doheny. It was a good fight. A lot of people, like we said, was on last week's show, we said a lot of people were expecting a first, second or third round KO win for Inoue. I did say I think we're going to see some rounds. He has been going a few rounds in his most recent fights, and obviously he's stepping in with a very, very experienced fighter, a man who can punch as well. You have to respect his power down there at Super Bantam. I think he was the bigger man as well, off of my recollection, TJ Doheny. So Inoue had to be careful. He had to think. It did take him a few rounds to get TJ out of there. TJ obviously showed his mettle, as he always does. There's no quitting him. There's no doubt in it. Doubt in his heart. He stuck in there a little bit too long. The last sort of 1 or 2 rounds, I think he was starting to really take a beating, and obviously, he was stopped very early on in that 7th round with that shot that seemed to injure his back. It was quite a strange thing. I was watching it on a stream, and all of a sudden it was the end of round 6, then round 7 started and it got waved off. I thought it was like some kind of glitch or something, or like it showed us an old fight, because it come to an end so quick, and I was like, whoa, Inoue's now celebrating. What happened there? But then obviously I saw on the replay, it was a strange punch. You don't often see that. I think it's testament to the power that Inoue possesses. Another great win for him. TJ Doheny, like I say, certainly not done if he does decide to carry on. The 37-year-old, I'm sure there's still fights for him there. He was on a heck of a run. He was in the form of his career. And like I say, he's loved all over the world, especially in Tokyo. They got a lot of respect for him out there. Inoue, it's just another scalp. And obviously on he moves. He's 28-0, which is unbelievable. He's so active as well. I remember him being like 12-0, not that long ago, and all of a sudden, like I say, he's up to 28 now. It's just unbelievable. Another knockout win, another world title fight ticked off, and honestly, the future is scary because he doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. Anyway, that brings the review part to a close. I've tried to whiz through that as quick as I could. Eddie didn't see anything, so it's now time to welcome this week's special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the nicest guys in British boxing. It is, of course, Lancashire's finest, Mr. Bradley Ray. Brad, welcome back on the show.
How you doing, mate? Yeah, thanks for having me back on.
No problem at all. So, Brad, we last spoke back in October of 2022, so almost 2 years since then. It was a few weeks before your fight against Tyler Denny. We haven't spoke since then. If we can, let's just go back to that fight briefly. Obviously, Denny won by just 1 point on 2 of the scorecards. A close fight.
Yeah, it was a close fight. I think it was the right decision. Watching it back, I think I didn't do enough. Denny won the fight, but I was well in the fight, and I think looking now to see what Tyler's gone on to do, I think in the past few years, I think I've probably running the closest. So it probably looks a little bit better on me now, but I know I was well off it that night. I know that wasn't anywhere near the best that I could be. So. Yeah, it was just one of them nights where you live and learn. But I think for me now, looking back on that fight, it's probably one of the best things that's happened to me in my career so far. Just made me reevaluate a little bit, have a little look at things, and I'm now at a new gym with a new coach, and I'm enjoying my boxing now. Feel like I'm improving, feel like I'm getting better all the time.
And Brad, tell me about that. You say a new gym, a new coach. Obviously, for those that don't know, where are you? Who are you training under?
Yeah, so I'm training with Andy Abel in Blackpool now. I've relocated to Blackpool. I'm living down that way now, so I'm a bit out of the way. I'm just keeping my head down and just cracking on with the training. I've been quite quiet, social media side of things, and I've just been training. I've been putting the work in, kind of behind closed doors, and I feel like I'm ready to kind of get back on the big stage now, and fingers crossed something's going to come up soon.
And I did want to ask you this. Obviously, Tyler Denny is completely not known as a puncher at all. He's known to be feather-fisted even. Can he punch, Brad?
He hits harder than his record suggests, definitely. And I've spoke to a few people who box him, and they all say the same thing. He hits harder than his record suggests, definitely. He's got enough pop in his shots where he can do damage and he can hurt people. But I think with Tyler sometimes that's just not his way of boxing. And but he's 100%. He's 100% got it in him. But I think feather fisted is a bit harsh, so 100% he can hurt you. He can hurt you with a shot.
And as you said as well, obviously what he's gone on to achieve since then, he's on such a crazy run. My last kind of question on that whole thing there, will that run come to an end against Hamza Shiraz in a couple of weeks' time or not, Brad?
Yeah, I would absolutely love for him to get the job done. I really would, because you know what, mate? There's been times with him before. Like, we all know how good Shiraz is and what he's tipped to go on to do. And this bit, I'll hold my hands up, and I'm glad I was proved wrong. But I thought Cash was going to beat him. I thought Cash was going to be a step too far. And a lot of people are saying that Shiraz is a step too far now, and a lot of people have wrote him off before. So it's going to be an interesting one. I don't think Shiraz is going to have it all his own way as people think. I think Denny's going to cause him big problems. He's one of them fighters, Denny. When he's in front of you, he's completely different to how you watch him on YouTube and how you watch him in his past few fights. He's a hard puzzle to solve, definitely.
I cannot wait for that one. But back to yourself, like I say, obviously you've picked up 4 wins since that Denny fight. How have things been for you, Brad? Obviously you said you've been a bit quiet on social media. Has it been tough as well, not boxing on TV the last few fights?
Yeah, I think when I moved to my new coach, and we had a chat with my coach and my manager, and the plan was to go and have a few fights on the small hall circuit, and I can get some some work in and I can adjust to my new coach without having the eyes on me, and then, you know, we look at getting in a big fight. And, you know, that was the plan from the start. You know, we wanted 2 or 3 fights kind of on these smaller shows, and, you know, I feel like I did that, and, you know, we were ready to kind of set things back up. And, you know, unfortunately, it's just not just happened yet. It's like, it is a bit frustrating for me, but, you know, it's the game. I know how it works. Hopefully something's going to come up soon. You know, we had a fight agreed on a boxer show, which, you know, it was an exciting one with Mark Ephraim, which I was looking forward to, mate, and we're training hard. I was in camp for it. You know, we were hoping it was going to be on the Callum Simpson, Zach Jelly undercard. And, you know, for whatever reason, you know, they were going to put it on another show, and then it just looks like they've got nothing coming up. So, yeah, it was frustrating, mate, but like I say, just trying to stay active. And, you know, I'm very lucky that my manager is, you know, getting me out on these smaller shows and keeping me active, because, you know, after having the 11 months out after the Denny fight with injury, you know, one thing that I don't want to do is go stale again and have a bit of a run of inactivity. You know, I want to stay busy, because hopefully there's going to be a big fight on the horizon for me.
And I want to ask you as well, Brad, what weight are you actually campaigning at now?
It's a big question, mate. So, you know, when I first come back, the big thing after the Denny fight was the moving up in weight. You know, there was no way I was doing 160 again. So I've had a few fights at super middle. Felt good at super middle. I feel like I can still make super middle now, you know, with a bit of notice. But my last few fights, I've been at light heavy, and, you know, I feel good at light heavy. I feel happy. I feel like when I'm in the gym, you know, it's nice just to not have to think about making weight, and it's nice just to focus on being a better boxer. And, you know, it's a chat that we've had in the gym with my team, and, you know, we don't have a nailed on answer yet, but the right fight at either weight, you know, I think I can make either weight, and, you know, for the right fight at either weight, so just keeping the options open, really.
And obviously you're coming off 2 first-round stoppage wins. You're back out again this weekend in just a couple of days' time at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. I asked you before we got on the phone who your opponent was. You couldn't remember. I know you've got it somewhere, but it's another run out. But yeah, just tell us about that one, Brad. Obviously excited to be back active, obviously.
Yeah, mate, so it's not the level I want to be competing at, mate. And like I just said, it is a bit frustrating, but it's important, you know, staying active. And with me, the mentality that I've had, like you say, the last few fights where with me, I want to be boxing at a better level. And, you know, unfortunately, for whatever reason, I can't. But the mentality I've had going into these fights is, I'm going to show people I'm at another level to this, and, you know, that's why I've been getting the early stoppages, and, you know, if I can, that's what I'll continue to do in the weekend.
And obviously the plan, hopefully after this fight, is to wind up back on TV at some point in a bigger fight. It doesn't make too much sense why you've been off of TV this long. I think, you know, losing to Denny when you did, I can understand maybe people thought, okay, you know, where's his level at? But obviously Denny's shown, you know, that he's just unstoppable at the minute. And as every fight that goes by, I think that loss is looking better, if that makes any sense. And obviously you're still young, you're still ticking all the right boxes in the fight since then. We do need you back on TV. I know that's what you want as well. I'm going to just ask your opinion on a couple of upcoming fights just to close things out, Brad. You're not too sure if you're at light heavy or if you're at super middle, so I'm going to throw 2 fights at you for your prediction. One's super middle, one's light heavyweight. We'll start with next weekend, Canelo Berlanga at 168. Does Berlanga have a chance in that one for you?
No, man. I think it's going to be an easy night for Canelo.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think his level's above him, and I think he's going to show that. I think it's going to be a bit of a walk for Canelo.
Yeah, I agree. I think Berlanga's done well to get the payday, in all honesty. A light heavyweight one that goes down October the 12th, Beterbiev Bivol.
Oh man, I'm so excited for that. I think that's the best fight they can make in boxing at the moment. I was very split, but I think recently, mate, I've just completely swayed to Beterbiev. I just think it's impossible, mate, to hold him off for 12 rounds. I don't think any fighter on the planet at that weight can do it. I think he's going to get to everyone at some point.
Oh, wow. Cannot wait for the fight, but yeah, I'd love to see Bivol pull it off personally. Just finally, I'll throw a heavyweight one at you as well. September 22nd, obviously the big one in London, Joshua Dubois.
Mate, you know what? I'm actually looking forward to this fight. I think if Dubois goes out early on like he did against Hrgovic, if AJ's hitting him with them shots, I think he's going to go early. You can't be taking shots like he was against Hrgovic against a fighter like AJ. But I've got a feeling it's not going to be as one-sided as people think. I still think AJ's going to get the job done. But Dubois look good at the moment, and he's been wrote off a couple of times, and he's come through a couple of times, and I think he's confident in himself as well now. He really believes that he's going to go out there and beat AJ, which I think is going to make for a good fight.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that one. And you're right, obviously Dubois has been an underdog against Big Baby Miller and then against Hrgovic, come out on top in both, and obviously both stoppages. And yeah, Joshua's obviously picked up a couple of wins, but Francis Ngannou and Otto Wallin, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I wouldn't want to write Daniel off. Yeah, just if you want to sign out with a little message before we let you go, Brad, same as before. I always like to end an interview just giving the boxer a chance to close out with a message. You can thank sponsors, you can drop social media handles, you can say whatever you like, my friend. It's your time.
Yeah, just a big thank you, to everyone for the continued support. Like you say, my sponsors who, for the past few years where I've not kind of been on the big shows, they've been just carrying on supporting me, and it allows me to carry on training, and hopefully when this big fight day is going to come, I'm going to be ready. And everyone, I've had a few messages in the past year or so, when we're going to see you back on the big stage, and it really means a lot that people want to tune in and watch me, and hopefully very soon I'm going to be back on the big stage. And for me, when I'm back in them big fights, I just need to get my foot in the door, and I'm going to show people what I've been doing for the past year and a half, what I've been working on, and I've got a few new tricks up my sleeve. So, I think once I get on that big stage, I'm going to be staying there. I just need that chance.
And we hope it comes around for you soon. You've been out far too long. You've been off the TV far too long, in everyone's opinion, I think. Cannot wait to see you back. Listen, Brad, as always, the pleasure's mine. Thank you for your time. It's been great having you back on after such a long time. We'll speak again real soon, I'm sure.
Thanks for having me on, mate. Yeah, speak to you soon.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. A couple of things to bring you. Johnny Fisher will be headlining at the Copper Box Arena on September 28th. Obviously, it's the same date, but they've moved the card that was originally set to take place elsewhere. The undercard, I think, is all the same. We're going to see, obviously, Rhiannon Dixon stepping in with Terry Harper. Peter McGraw stepping in with Brad Foster. And yeah, a couple of other fights on that undercard. That's a good card there, I think, for the Copper Bosch, as we're going to say. We just have to say that now. If Johnny Fisher's boxing at the Copper Box, it becomes the Copper Bosch. What else do we have? We've got the undercard confirmed for the October 26th fight. Obviously, it's going to be Catterall Prograis, but on the undercard, again, the date for that October the 26th in Manchester. On the undercard, we're going to see Ellie Scotney defending her IBF, WBO, and IBO Super Bantamweight World titles against mandatory challenger Mia Motu. Also on that card, we're going to see Reece Bellotti stepping in with Michael Gomez Jr. We're going to see the rematch between James Flint and Ricky Hatton 2. I think that's a brilliant fight, by the way. I really can't believe that did I say Ricky Hatton 2? Campbell Hatton. I can't believe that Campbell Hatton is stepping back in an instant rematch with James Flint. That's such risky business, because if he loses that, that leaves him in a really bad spot. I've got to say, credit to him for taking that one. Also on the card as well, William Crolla. We're going to see Ishmael Davis, who I do want to see again. Obviously, we haven't seen him box since he beat Troy Williamson in what was a really great performance, actually. And a couple of other names on that card there, like I say. Okay, moving on to the next piece of news. What else do we have? Tim Tszyu's going to be stepping in with Bakram Murtazaliev. That one to headline on PBC Prime Video. That's going to be October the 19th in Orlando, Florida. And lastly, Keyshawn Davis will be returning to the ring. He steps in with Gustavo Lemos, who, of course, people will know, pushed Richardson Hitchens very close. Richardson Hitchens managed to escape with the win. It was very controversial. And Richardson Hitchens is a friend of the show. I'm being very honest. I'm not entirely sure he won that fight. But Keyshawn steps in with Gustavo Lemos. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant fight. Cannot wait for it. It goes down November the 8th. And that one is going down in Norfolk, Virginia. So that's an interesting one there. All the best to Keyshawn Davis. We're going to see on the co-feature as well, WBO welterweight world champion Brian Norman Jr. stepping in with Derek Cuevas. We're also going to see Kelvin Davis. That's the brother of Keyshawn on that undercard as well. A few other fights I think still to be added on there. Troy Isley and Abdullah Mason in separate contests. Should be a decent card there. But anyway, moving to the preview part of the show. This one goes down later tonight at the Montreal Casino in Quebec, Canada. It's going to be live on ESPN. I think it may be on Sky Sports. Not entirely sure. But over here, the hot ticket, Imam Katiev, 7-0. He steps in with Ezekiel Moderna, who's 31-12. Some people in Britain will remember him for knocking out Karo Itama on the Yard Beterbiev, or I should say Beterbiev Yard undercard at the Wembley Arena. This one is for the NABF light heavyweight title. It's over 10 rounds. Moderna obviously lost when he come back to the UK and stepped in with Willie Hutchinson. I'm expecting Imam Katiev to have way too much for Ezekiel Moderna. Moving now to the Hilton Al Habtoor City in Dubai. Over here, we're going to see friend of the show, Jazza Dickens, back in action. He's 33-5. He's back in an 8-rounder at Super Feather against Eduardo Mancito, who's 21-15 with 2 draws. And also another Brit on the undercard as well, Marcel Braithwaite, 16-4 with a draw, stepping in with Komgrich Nantapech, who is 36-12. That's over 6 rounds there at Super Fly. Like I say, if you've been on the show at any point in the last 9 years, almost 9 years, we've almost been going for 9 years, then you will always get your fights mentioned whenever you're fighting. So Jazza Dickens is one of those guys. He went on the show a few years ago, and for that he always gets a mention. Moving now to the York Hall Bethnal Green. This one goes down tomorrow night. It's going to be live on TNT Sport. Over here we have Joshua Frankham in a 10-rounder against Angel Emelov, who's 11-56 with 3 draws, but I think he's only been stopped twice. So if you can get odds on Joshua Frankham to win that fight on points, I'd pretty much say that that's free money. Like I say, he's 10-0, I think, with about 2 KOs. Also on the card as well, the Battle of the Undefeateds, Masood Abdullah, 10-0, stepping in with George Stewart, 7-0. That one is over 12 rounds there for the vacant Commonwealth featherweight title. Should be a good one, that, by the way. I like that fight for Masood Abdullah, who is quite an entertaining fighter. I remember being ringside when he boxed Kez Ashfaq. It was a really good fight. I think that one took place in Birmingham, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but that's off the top of my head. But it was a good fight. I remember that much. What else do we have? Obviously, the main event. The main man himself, I'm going to say it, he's from Maidstone. His hands are made of stone. It's always a pleasure to watch him fight. Mr. Sam Noakes, 14-0 with 13 KOs. He steps in with Gianluca Cheglia, I think it's pronounced, who is 21-4 with a draw. It's a defence here of Sam's EBU European lightweight title. Cheglia made a funny comment actually at the press conference earlier this week. He said that Sam Noakes hasn't boxed anyone. And then Sam Noakes said to him, well, I did beat a guy that you lost to. And that man obviously was Yvonne Mendy. So, yeah, I mean, that was a strange comment that he said, I'm better than the guys you've beaten. And he actually lost to a guy that Sam Noakes beat in his last fight. But yeah, all the best to Sam Noakes. I'm expecting another blistering performance from him, another stoppage. Even though Seglia's only been stopped in one fight, only been stopped in one of his 4 losses, I'm expecting Noakes to just have too much for him. Moving now to the Pechanga Resort and Casino in California, USA. This one's going to be live on DAZN. We've got Jose Zepeda, 37-5. He's still going. He's back here in a 10-rounder at super lightweight against Ivan Redkach, 24-7 with a draw. And then, moving now to a place called the Phnom Penh in Cambodia. We do not go here often, but I just wanted to mention it because it's a bit of an odd one here. It's for the WBC Asian Continental Super Bantamweight title. We've got Marlon Tapales, 2 fights removed from boxing Inoue, and giving him a decent fight. He's 38-4. He's back here against Saurabh Kumar, who's 11-1 with a draw. That's a weird one. I just thought, wow, what's that fight doing in Cambodia? But I thought it's definitely worth mentioning it. Moving now to the Brentwood Centre in Essex. Over here we're going to see, this one apparently is going to be on DAZN. I hope it is on DAZN because he's a good man. But it's Elliot Wow, 10-0, back in a 10-rounder here at welterweight against Lloyd Germain, who's 9-1. Should be a good fight there. They're expecting Elliot Wow to win quite big with the bookies. I was quite surprised to see him quite the big favourite he was, but I'm expecting him to get the business done. Moving now to the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. We did speak to him a few moments ago, but it's definitely worth a mention. Bradley Ray, 18-1, back in action. Do not miss it. It's over 6 rounds. I think you can watch it online somewhere. I'm sure he'll post about it, so don't miss that. He's a cracking fella, as I'm sure you all agree with. And then, the final card goes down at the Bayou Event Center in Houston, Texas, USA. Over here, another friend of the show, another great guy, Miguel Flores, 25-5 with a draw, former world title challenger. He's a really nice guy, done a lot of commentary work. Really likeable guy, Miguel Flores. He's back here, though, and he's not in the best form, it has to be said. I think he's only won 1 of his last 5, but he's back here against Michael Nelson, who's 21-2 with a draw. Hopefully Flores wins. It's for the vacant WBC USA featherweight title. It's over 10 rounds. If Flores does win, I'm sure he'll try one more time in another last-ditch run for a title shot. But anyway, that brings the preview part to a close. Eddie hasn't been much help this week. In the review part, I went through it all as quick as I could. Then we welcomed our special guest. Then there was a bit of news. Then there was a bit of previewing that I've just wrapped up. Eddie barely said anything all show. He's left it all to me. I haven't even had a chance to take a breath. That brings the entire show to a close. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 464 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show, though you wouldn't have thought so because he barely said anything. A massive thank you to this week's special guest, that man being Bradley Ray, one of the nicest guys in British boxing. Everyone will agree and tell you that, and I'm just hoping that he gets another big chance on the big stage sooner or later because he certainly has been waiting too long, in my opinion. I really want to see him back. The biggest thanks of all goes out to you, the listeners. Thanks once again for tuning in. One piece of news broke whilst we've been recording the show, and it's that Adam Azim will be stepping in the ring with O'Hara Davies in what's going to be a very interesting super lightweight clash. That one to take place on October the 19th at the Copper Box Arena. No undercard announced for it just yet, but tickets start at just £35 and they go on sale next week, so you can sign up for, pre-sale tickets and exclusive discounts at Boxer. That's obviously 2 X's, BOXXER.com. So head over there if you're interested in tickets for that one. That is about everything, though, from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we'll see you all again same time next week.